If you are a fan of Gold Rush or just fascinated by its incredible life stories, join us as we will be digging into Tony Beets' jaw-dropping fortune, his shocking decision, and the emotional legacy he's leaving behind. What happens when a legend in gold mining decides to step away? Tony Beets, known as the King of the Klondike, has built an empire over decades, but his latest decision has left his family in tears, and it's not what you think. Tony Beets isn't your average gold miner. He's a larger-than-life figure who turned dirt into dreams and a simple Yukon claim into an empire. You probably know him from Gold Rush, where his booming voice, fearless decisions, and a knack for colorful language have made him unforgettable. But behind the hard hat and gruff exterior is a man who's built more than just a fortune. He's created a legacy that's as tough and complicated as the Klondike itself. Have you ever thought about what it takes to go from nothing, owning millions in gold claims? Tony started out as a young man from the Netherlands, chasing opportunity in Canada. He didn't stumble into success. It was the result of backbreaking work, risk-taking, and a bit of Viking spirit. From taming massive dredges to battling harsh winters, Tony proved that fortune favors the bold. But here's where the story takes a twist. A fortune isn't just gold and numbers. It's also a weight that shapes the lives of those around you. Tony's success has lifted his family, but it's also placed them under the pressure of living up to his legacy. His wife, Minnie, has been his rock, and their kids, Monica, Kevin, and Mike, are carving their own paths, sometimes in his shadow and sometimes breaking free from it. This is where the heart of the story lies. What happens when the fortune becomes bigger than the man who built it? Is it a blessing, or does it come with strings that tug on family ties? Can you imagine being handed a gold empire and trying to make it your own? Tony's story isn't just about gold, it's about grit, love, and the messy beauty of family. And as we dig deeper, we'll uncover how this fortune shapes not just their bank accounts, but their hearts and futures. Stick around of the Beets golden tale. Before Tony Beets became the tough-as-nails mining legend we know from Gold Rush, he was just a young guy from the Netherlands, trying to find his way in the world. Can you imagine leaving your home, your family, and everything familiar at 18 to chase a dream on the other side of the world? Well, that's exactly what Tony did. He didn't just hop on a plane, he took a leap of faith that most of us only dream of. At first, Tony wasn't a miner. Nope, he worked all sorts of odd jobs to get by, everything from milking cows to working in construction. But it wasn't long before he realized that his true calling lay in something a lot more adventurous. With dreams of striking it rich, Tony turned his sights to Canada, the wild frontier of the Yukon. The legendary Klondike goldfields called to him like a siren's song. And who could blame him? The stories of the Klondike Gold Rush were enough to get anyone's blood pumping. So, with a bag full of hope and a heart full of ambition, Tony made his move. He didn't just settle for the easy route either. He went straight to the heart of gold country, Dawson City. Now keep in mind, this wasn't a simple move to the city kind of deal. The Yukon is harsh, freezing winters, unpredictable terrain, and a whole lot of uncertainty. But Tony didn't back down. He was in it for the long haul. He worked as a machine operator for a mining company, learning the ropes and building his skills. From there, it wasn't long before he realized that to make it big, he needed to take bigger risks. And take risks he did. By the mid-80s, Tony had purchased his first gold claim, Paradise Hill. He didn't just pick it up either. He earned it. And that's where the real magic began. From there, he expanded his mining empire, buying more claims, restoring old dredges, and eventually becoming one of the wealthiest miners in the Klondike. All those years of hard work, uncertainty, and risking it all came down to one thing: the unshakable belief that you get out what you put in. Tony Beets didn't just find gold in the earth, he struck gold in life. His journey from the small village in the Netherlands to the vast, unforgiving wilderness of the Yukon proves that with enough grit, a bit of luck, and a whole lot of courage, you can change the course of your future. And trust me, this is just the beginning of Tony's journey. Stay tuned, because it's about to get even more interesting. So let's talk about Tony Beets' real rise to fame. You know, it wasn't just about finding gold. It was about thinking bigger, working harder, and taking risks that most people would shy away from. After he bought his first gold claim, Paradise Hill, Tony wasn't just content with the basics. Nope, he didn't just go in with a shovel and a pickaxe like the old-timers. Tony's mind was always turning, always thinking about how to do things better, faster, and more efficiently. He restored massive old dredges, these giant machines that were a piece of mining history, and put them to work again. Who else was doing that? Not many, and that's how Tony started making a name for himself. But here's the thing, when you start making waves, people take notice. And in Tony's case, it wasn't just the mining world. In the mid-2000s, the reality TV show Gold Rush came knocking. The producers wanted to show the real-life struggles of people trying to strike it rich in the Yukon, and they were looking for characters who were larger than life. Enter Tony Beets. With his thick Dutch accent, tough-as-nails attitude, and fearless approach to mining, Tony was a natural fit for the show. But here's where things got interesting. Gold Rush wasn't just about showing off Tony's gold mining skills. It was about his family too. Suddenly, the Beets family found themselves in the spotlight. Tony's wife, Minnie, became a strong presence on the show, managing everything behind the scenes. His kids, Kevin, Monica, and Mike, were all part of the operation in one way or another. The Beets' homegrown gold rush wasn't just on TV, it was part of the family's real-life grind. Think about it. How many people do you know who started a career and then had it broadcast to millions of viewers? Tony went from being a tough, independent miner to a reality TV star. And with that, his fortune and family went from being relatively unknown to being in the public eye every single week. Isn't it wild how a TV show can change everything? How would you feel if your whole family's personal struggles and triumphs were turned into episodes? When you think about Tony Beets, what probably comes to mind is his larger-than-life personality and his tough-as-nails reputation on Gold Rush. But behind all that, Tony's rise to becoming one of the wealthiest and most influential miners in the Yukon came down to one key factor: smart, strategic investments. Let's talk about those historic dredges, for instance. In the world of gold mining, these old, rusting machines weren't just pieces of junk, they were gold mines waiting to be revived. Tony didn't just see a broken-down dredge, he saw an opportunity. So he bought them, restored them, and put them to work. It wasn't just a stroke of luck. It was Tony's ability to look at something most people would dismiss and see its hidden potential. Those dredges weren't just cool antiques. They were workhorses that helped him unearth millions of dollars in gold. In a world where mining is about efficiency and maximizing output, these dredges were game changers. Then there are Tony's land claims. When Tony bought up his claims in the Yukon, he didn't just buy land, he bought future success. The Yukon is full of gold, but it's also full of competition. Securing valuable land and making the right investment decisions wasn't a guarantee of instant riches. But Tony's track record of finding rich deposits and knowing when to strike was a testament to his sharp eye for business. Over the years, his land holdings grew, and with it, so did his wealth. By the time he became a key figure on Gold Rush, Tony Beets wasn't just a miner, he was a gold mining mogul. His business empire wasn't just about the gold he was pulling from the ground. It was about the investments he'd made years before, laying the groundwork for his long-term success. Think about it. How many people get the chance to look back at their career and say, yeah, I made the right call over and over again? Tony's investments in machinery, land, and innovation paid off, making him one of the wealthiest miners in the Yukon. And that success cemented his place in the history of gold mining. But here's the kicker. Success didn't just land in Tony's lap. It's one thing to take a risk, but it's another to stick with it when the odds aren't in your favor. Tony's journey wasn't without its struggles, but his ability to see opportunities where others saw obstacles is what set him apart. So, what happens when a man becomes famous, and not just a little famous, but TV famous, with millions of people watching his every move? It's a roller coaster, to say the least. Tony Beets didn't just strike gold in the Yukon, he struck gold with Gold Rush. And with that fame came a whole new set of challenges, especially for his family. Let's start with Minnie, Tony's wife. If you've watched the show, you know that Minnie is the steady hand that keeps the Beets family grounded. She's not the one out there in the mud running the dredges, but trust me, she's the backbone of the operation. Minnie manages the home front and the business side of things, which isn't as glamorous as it sounds. Think about it. Being married to a man who's constantly on the move, managing a high-risk gold mining business, and now, thanks to the show, being thrust into the public eye. It can't be easy, but Minnie takes it all in stride, keeping the family and business running smoothly. Then there's the kids, Kelvin, Monica, and Mike. They grew up in this gold rush lifestyle, but it's one thing to watch your dad work from the sidelines, and it's another to dive in head first. Kevin has had a lot of on-screen moments, helping his dad with the machines, and let's face it, dealing with Tony's fiery temper. Monica, on the other hand, has always shown that she's a bit of a wild card. She's worked in the mining operation too, but there's a hint of independence in her that you can't ignore. And Mike? Well, Mike has always been in the mix too, though he's also done some of his own things outside of the family business. Now, this is where things get interesting. Fame and fortune can come with a hefty price tag, and for the Beets family, it hasn't always been easy. The cameras may show a happy family working hard to strike gold, but behind the scenes, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. The pressure to live up to Tony's reputation, the weight of managing a massive mining operation, and the constant juggling act of maintaining family relationships takes a toll. Imagine growing up with your father as a reality TV star. There's the constant balancing act of wanting to be your own person, but also dealing with the legacy that your family has built. Some of the Beets kids have expressed a desire to do their own thing, and you can't blame them. It's hard to carve out your own identity when everyone already knows you as Tony Beets' son or daughter. But that's not to say the fame didn't bring some good things too. The Beets family now has a platform, and that's allowed them to bring more attention to the gold mining industry. Plus, with success comes opportunities, financial freedom, the chance to work on bigger and better mining projects, and of course, the luxury of a lifestyle that most people can only dream of. Still, the sacrifices are real. Tony's business took him away from home a lot, and that's not something you can just brush off. The show often points out the high-stakes world of mining, but it doesn't always show the emotional toll of running an empire. Tony's success didn't come without a few bumps in the road, and you can see that in the way his family has had to navigate their own roles within the business. This story is far from over, and there's more to come in the Beets' golden adventure. As the years went by, the Beets family's journey took a new turn. It's one thing to watch your father work his tail off in the mining business, but it's a whole different ballgame when it's time to step up and take the reins. That's exactly what happened as Tony's children, Kevin, Monica, and Mike, began to take on leadership roles within the family business. Let's start with Kevin. He's probably the most visible of the Beets kids on Gold Rush, often working alongside Tony in the trenches. At first, it was clear that Kevin was learning the ropes, stepping into his father's boots. But over time, Kevin's role grew, and it became obvious that he wasn't just Tony's right-hand man. He was starting to lead in his own way. Still, stepping into those shoes came with challenges. The pressure to live up to his father's reputation was huge. Plus, the cameras don't make it any easier. Imagine trying to make business decisions while millions of people are watching and critiquing your every move. Not exactly a walk in the park, right? Then there's Monica. If Kevin is the steady hand, Monica is the firecracker. She's always been a bit more independent and willing to challenge the status quo. It's clear that she's got a mind of her own, one that doesn't always want to follow Tony's way of doing things, but that's the beauty of it. She brings fresh ideas to the table, and as the next generation takes over, her perspective could be the key to keeping the family business thriving in a new era. Still, there's a catch. Trying to carve out your own path while being part of a family with such a powerful legacy is no easy task. Monica had to juggle her own desires with the reality of the Beets family name, and that's a balancing act most of us can't even imagine. And then we have Mike. Mike's a bit quieter when it comes to the show, but he's just as involved behind the scenes. He's been part of the operation for years, but like Monica, he's had his own set of challenges. It's one thing to work for your dad, but when the spotlight's on you, there's a pressure to not just meet expectations, but to exceed them. Mike's been learning the ropes, and as the mining operation grows, his role becomes even more crucial. But let's be real for a second. Being the next generation of a reality TV family isn't all gold bars and easy rides. While fame is a double-edged sword, on one hand, it opens doors, brings in opportunities, and lets them shine. On the other hand, it makes every mistake public, every decision second-guessed, and every move scrutinized. Thinking about it, running a gold mining operation requires constant attention. Whether it's managing machinery, working long hours in freezing temperatures, or making tough decisions on the fly. But when you throw a camera crew into the mix, there's always the added pressure of putting on a show for the world. It's one thing to be Tony Beets, the tough, seasoned miner. It's another to be Kevin, Monica, or Mike Beets, who are still trying to figure out their own identities while living in their father's shadow. If you were in their shoes, how would you handle the pressure of being part of a famous family business? Would you embrace it, or would it be too much to juggle? So, what's it like balancing a family business with the pressures of being on a reality TV show? It's got to be exhausting. That weight doesn't just sit on Tony's shoulders anymore. It's being passed down to his children. For the Beets family, upholding Tony's legacy is both a privilege and a burden. Imagine being handed the keys to a gold mining kingdom, knowing the blood, sweat, and tears that went into building it. That's a lot to carry, especially when the world is watching. Over the years, we've seen moments of tension within the family, both on screen and behind the scenes. Kevin struggles to meet his father's high standards, Monica's clashes over how things should be done, and the pressure on Mike to find his place in the business have all painted a picture of a family grappling with the weight of their name. There have been key moments that have forced the Beets family to reflect on their journey, like the time Tony faced a hefty fine for operating an unlicensed dredge, leaving the entire family scrambling to recover, or when personal losses and family disagreements bubbled to the surface, showing us that even the toughest miners aren't immune to emotional strain. These moments have tested their unity, forcing them to ask, what's more important, the business or the bond we share? Then there's the challenge of balancing family and business. As we've seen, working together isn't always smooth sailing, even for the closest families. Add fame, fortune, and the complexities of running a multi-million-dollar enterprise, and you've got a recipe for tension. How do you make decisions when every choice could affect not just the bottom line, but also your relationships? It's a delicate dance, and one wrong move could bring everything crashing down. And then there's the potential for conflict. Money can bring out the best and the worst in people, even within families. Who takes the lead? How are decisions made? And what happens if the younger Beets have different visions for the future of the business? These questions could create rifts, or hopefully bring the family closer together. But it's not all drama and conflict. The Beets family has also had moments of deep connection. Moments where you see the pride in Tony's eyes as his kids step up and take on responsibilities. You see the love between Tony and Minnie, who's been his rock through thick and thin. You see a family that, in spite of their differences, share a common goal of keeping the dream alive. And that brings us to the big question. Will Tony's legacy unite or divide his family in the years to come? On one hand, their shared experiences and the foundation Tony has built could bring them closer together, creating a strong family unit capable of weathering any storm. On the other hand, the pressures of maintaining a massive mining operation and the inevitable differences in opinion could create cracks that are hard to repair. What do you think? Can the Beets family strike gold in their relationships as they have in the ground? Or will the weight of Tony's legacy prove too much to bear? And honestly, we're all rooting for a happy ending, aren't we?